in Salt Lake City, Utah. That is the backdrop of College Game Day on this fine Saturday morning. A top 15 matchup between two Pac-12 title hopefuls. Number 8 Oregon comes to visit number 13 Utah. Both teams tied for third in the Pac-12 standings along with Oregon State, so a lot on the line. And this one will get you ready for that game and all the other games happening in college football today. Welcome to Countdown to College Game Day, presented by Dr. Pepper. I am Christine Williamson. He is Harry Lyles Jr. He is Harry Douglas. It's nice and dark outside, which is perfect because it's about to be Halloween, a little spooky out here. We have, you see those little things in the background, but it's a little cold. It means it's officially college football season. HC, how are you feeling about Utah?
I love it so far.
Yeah.
Like, it's my first time being able to be here for consecutive days. I've had layovers at the Utah airport, but this is a cool, calm, and collected type place. The views, the scenery, the mountains, unbelievable.
Yeah, the fans here are a little crazy as well. We've talked to a few of them,
I love it.
We'll get to them in a very... Oh my gosh, how cute are they? They just shouted us out. Hello, hi, everybody. Okay, so we like to start every single show with something that we call 3 big things. It's the things that we're either looking forward to this college football Saturday or the things that happened earlier this week.
You sure?
Whatever we want to talk about.
Word.
Who wants to start us off, Lyles?
Yeah, I will. Look, obviously I'm going to talk about the game here that we're going to have today. Utah's offense, you got to bring your A game, right? You know how important it is to bring your A game.
Yes, sir.
Look, it's a big week for them. You're going up against an Oregon team that is very complete. They play really good on both sides of the football, but the thing with that Oregon offense, they're going to be a challenge for this Utah defense, which has been the anchor of this team all season. Bo Nix is the best quarterback in the Pac-12 at getting the ball out of his hands. That offensive line holds up. Not a whole lot of pressure. They only pressure him on 13.8% of plays. That is by far the lowest in the Pac-12. So you are going to have to score points in this game. Bryson Barnes has done well in the games that he's been in, but it's going to have to be a little bit different today because for as good as that Utah defense is, that Oregon offense is going to get theirs. The 2 running backs, Bucky Irving, they are averaging 7.7 yards per carry. You're not stopping that. You might slow it down a little bit, but you're not stopping it. So going to have to be a big day for that Utah offense.
It should be a very good one. That one at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk a little bit more about that matchup very shortly. HC, what do you got?
For me, I want to talk about a team that I don't think enough media outlets are actually giving credit to, and that's the Oregon State Beavers. The job that Jonathan Smith, their head coach, has been able to do this season right now. They only have 1 loss. They're ranked 11th in the country, but building off of what they did a season ago in 2022, they were 10-3. And for me, it's their 3-headed monster when it comes to their offense, starting with their quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, and also their running back, Damian Martinez, and finally their wide receiver, Silas Bowden. Those 3 guys have been phenomenal for the Oregon State Beavers this season. And we're here at Utah. Well, you want to know who gave Utah their first loss? It was the Oregon State Beavers. And I never thought I would see a team that could be more physical than the Utah Utes, especially them winning the Pac-12 the last 2 years. Well, Oregon State was in that matchup they had earlier this year. So watch out for the Oregon State Beavers because they're still in a prime position to be able to win the Pac-12 and actually try to make the college football playoffs.
Wouldn't that be so great if DJU got to the CFP, not with Clemson, just
different orange?
Just thriving.
I don't know if you'd like that.
I'm happy for him wherever he is.
So
Clemson
happy.
is boo-boo this season. Speaking of Clemson being boo-boo this season, I got to watch them play last week, and I just want to say something. Now that I've been to 1 million college football games since being an undergrad at University of Miami.
You went to Miami?
Miami football fans are ass. They're so bad. I have no problem saying that. All of my friends that have never been to I was with my friend Steve, who has only been to University of Miami football games, and I was like, bro, you have got to get out of here, and we have got to take you to a Clemson football game, maybe a Penn State football game, just anywhere else. They're just not that great, and it's not their fault. There just aren't as many traditions. There aren't as many cheers. It's just not that good.
Christine, I'm not going to lie. When I saw that in the rundown, I didn't think you'd actually say they were ass. I'm not going to lie.
It's fine.
Is that allowed?
It's not their fault. It's not their fault.
I think part of it is because it's not the U what it used to be, right?
Yeah, for sure.
90s, early 2000s. So, their fans, they feel like they have better things to do on South Beach to showcase their talent.
There are a lot of things to do.
Here's the thing. They were there. They just weren't. There wasn't a peep.
Wasn't excited.
There was not a peep. So it was very disappointing. Miami, we have a lot of work to do. That culture that we talked about, we have to build it up just a little bit. Also, we're supposed to dress in Halloween costumes this week, and the Lyles excited we weren't doing that. I'm a little disappointed.
That is my brother, but not like that.
It's perfectly fine. Okay, let's talk about this matchup a little bit more because this is the matchup that everybody has their eye on. Obviously, it's a Pac-12 matchup. This is the 5th-ranked matchup between these two teams. The Ducks beat Utah 20-17 in Eugene last season, looking for their first win here in Salt Lake City since 2016. HD, how does Bo Nix shine today against a tough Utah defense?
I think it's going to be something that we haven't seen much from Bo Nix this season, but we've seen a lot from him last season. Right now, he only has 28 carries, right, rushing the football. Last year, he had 89 with 14 touchdowns. With that defense of Utah, he's going to have to be able to utilize his legs and be in addition to those phenomenal running backs that he has in the backfield in Jordan James and Bucky Irvin. So I think Bo Nix as a runner today, especially when they get into the red zone and tight red zone, I think he can surprise a lot of people for the Utah defense.
Okay, let's talk about the other side of Utah, their offense. They don't score a lot of points. Oregon, they do. So what does their defense need to do to slow down Oregon's offense?
You really got to just get them off the field. Like, this is one of those games you got to stretch it out. If you're Utah's offense, you're going to have to hopefully have a little bit of success running the football.
Yeah.
But in terms of this defense, look, man, you have to try to get pressure on Bo Nix. No one's really done it this year. One of the things that we have complimented him on all season, and even since he got to Oregon last year, was the fact that he has truly been able to reach his potential. And, HD, you know this as somebody that actually played high-level football. There's a different type of swagger to you when you are playing with confidence. Bo Nix is doing that. So is this Utah defense. So, look, they have put up plenty of great performances this year, and you know that side of the football plays with a little bit of attitude because they're like, oh, my goodness gracious, if we had a crumb of offense, we would be undefeated and have a shot at the national championship. So they're still going to come out here. I think that they're going to get some pressure on them, and I think they're going to keep it interesting.
And I will say this, defensive end for Utah, Jonah Ellis, he's a guy that's top 5 right now in sacking the quarterback. He has 10 right now. He has to be a major factor in this matchup.
Yeah, all right. That game is at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Another game at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. The world's largest, do they still call it that? Are we not supposed to call it the world's largest cocktail party anymore?
I don't know.
All right, so Florida took their first loss of the season to Utah. They found their offensive stride, 79 points in their last 2 games, but facing the Georgia team riding a 24-game win streak. That's a very long win streak. Dogs will be without Brock Bowers, who they've had for all 24 of those wins. HD, Georgia still a 2-touchdown favorite. How does the loss of Bowers impact their offense?
Well, I'll say number 1, he's the best player on their entire football team.
Yep.
And he was Carson Beck's security blanket. And when you have a security blanket as a young quarterback, you're coming to be the starter for the first time of your career. It's going to pay major dividends. But I would say this, Kirby Smart did a ton of interviews, and he basically said there's not going to be one person that's going to be able to replace the production of Brock Bowers. So collectively as a team, they have to do it. That's Carson Beck being that much better. The margin for error is very thin now. The running backs, the offensive line, and in particular that defense, you have to step up more. So I think collectively as a team, they're going to have to be better in absence of Brock Bowers today.
All right, let's talk about Florida, because I feel like after they took that L at the beginning of the season to Utah, nobody's really been talking about them that much, but Graham Mertz has been quietly very good for this team. What has impressed you the most?
So the thing with this Florida staff, and mind you, Billy Napier brought a lot of his guys over from Louisiana where they won something, I think, like 31 games in 3 years. Like, really good work, right? One of the people that he brought over was Rob Sale, who was co-offensive line coach and offensive coordinator for his team. The thing they've done with Graham Mertz, they have not asked him to do more than they know that he's capable of. That's one thing that I actually talked to Coach Sale about last year when they had Anthony Richardson, and people were, sort of getting on him about, perhaps not doing as well as they thought they should have with him. But with Graham Mertz, they don't ask him to do too much. Like, they keep a lot of things between 10 yards, front and backwards with this offense. Keep them in a comfortable place. Don't ask him to do too much, which you're going to have to play like against Georgia regardless, right? Like, you don't want to put a guy in a position like that and ask him to be more talented than what he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, so as long as they keep doing that, they're going to have a chance. You just got to hope that you get some stops on defense. And this is a game that they're going to have turnovers. And Graham Mertz cannot turn over the football either.
All right, so that's another big game at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. The third big game at 3:30 p.m. Eastern is one in the ACC. This is Duke. The third. Are Duke looking to bounce back after after losing a coach to Florida State last week. You can't see HD, but he's dancing. He's going to have to do so against a Louisville team that has won 8 in a row at home. The winner of this game has a huge, they could win the ACC, at least get a shot at it. What has impressed you the most about your Cards this season?
I think it's been 3 people. Transfer wide receiver for the Louisville Cards, Jamari Thrash, came from Georgia State. It's been phenomenal for this offense in Jeff Brom and also Jack Plummer. Second, I will go with the running back, Jawhar Jordan. And thank goodness he's going to be able to play today. So, because that Duke defense, we know how tough they are and how they played this entire season. That's a young man that's going to have to get the football, not just early, but the entire game, early and often. And then thirdly, I'll go with defensive lineman, Ashton Gallant. He is top 10 in sacks. He is one of the best defensive linemen in the country. He is one of the main reasons why Ron English, the defensive coordinator, and that defense have been so phenomenal this season. Those 3 guys are why Louisville, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, are back.
LSE vote. All right, let's talk about Duke a little bit because HD mentioned Jawhar Jordan for Louisville, but when you think about Duke, they don't have Riley Leonard, their quarterback. That is their guy. So how key is that injury for Duke?
I mean, it's huge for a couple of reasons, right? HD1, we saw that Louisville defense in person a couple times this year. They're ferocious. Like, they have kept them in games that they perhaps could have lost without it. I think they're honestly an underrated unit on that team. The fact that they got Jawhar Jordan is great for them, and I think he's also an underrated player just generally in the country, honestly. Like, we have not paid enough attention to Louisville. But with Riley Leonard and Duke, he's so important to that offense, not just for what he brings in terms of leadership and experience. He's key to their run game. He has been one of the pieces, not just to keep their running game going, but also once that defense, that Duke defense, which has forced teams to play uncharacteristic out of their characteristics, they have forced them to pay for those turnovers. If they don't have Riley Leonard, Henry Beelan hasn't really showed that he's going to be the guy to do that, and that's nothing against him. He's just inexperienced. That to me is going to be big.
About Riley Leonard? That's a bad young man. So bad that a few weeks ago, I had him on Get Up on a segment. That boy bad. That's how bad he is.
He ran up all through Clemson, so we saw. Anyways, okay. Louisville, by the way, 3 for 3 against Duke. Now, it's a spooky weekend. We went to a haunted house yesterday.
Here we go.
Now, I'm not a haunted house fan, but
I am after yesterday.
I somehow got convinced to go. This is me, Jeff Sims, Jen Latta. Now, Stanford Steve is also there. I just want everybody to understand. I had that hood on.
That Kelly Rowland coat.
It was not cold. It was not that cold. I am holding on for dear life. I just needed somebody to guide me through.
Look how scared y'all are.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not go on the College GameDay Instagram, go look at the reel and just pause for the different Christine scared faces. Christine was out there fighting for her entire life.
It's hilarious. Fun. Honestly, the one thing that saved us is because obviously there's cameras there. There was a light on both of the cameras, so there's a light in front of us and behind us. I do not like haunted houses. I don't recommend it.
Are you cheesy?
I am cheesy.
How cheesy?
Super cheesy.
How much do you love Cheez-Its?
I love cheesy.
How much? How much?
A lot.
How much again?
A lot.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. It is now time to honor the fan filling the cheesiest with the cheesiest chain reserved for college football. Most passionate fans, the ones who show up on Saturdays filling the cheesiest. Now, I am here with my man, Bridger. Bridger, what time did you get out here this morning, bud?
We've been here since yesterday.
You feel live. Are you ready for today?
Oh, I'm feeling ready. And I'm feeling cheesy, Harry.
You are?
I'm feeling the cheesiest.
How cheesy?
I'm feeling the cheesiest, Harry.
Man, I love Bridger.
Let's
Bridger.
go!
Ladies and gentlemen, we have lost Bridger. He has won a replica chain just like mine. It's a little smaller, but Bridger,
What's up, Harry?
what are the Utah Utes going to do today to the Oregon Ducks?
We're going to kill them. We're going to win. We got this. Let's go, Utah.
I think it's safe to say that Bridger doesn't need coffee. He doesn't need a 5-hour energy. The only thing he needs is Cheez-It.
We don't drink coffee here.
Nope.
We live off this. Let's go, Utah.
Let's go! Christine, back to you.
Yeah, that guy is a little hype. It's going to be a good one. He has a little time. Okay, so let's talk about some other games that are happening today. BYU at Texas. There's no Quinn Ewers, out with an AC joint injury. Lyles, this will be our first look at Malik Murphy and possibly Arch Manning.
And honestly, I don't think we'll see Arch. All indications have been there's still a lot of work to do with him, which is understandable. I think you're going to see a lot of Jonathan Brooks from Texas today. And this BYU defense, buddy, y'all are in for a long one. They are 127th in pressure in terms of getting to the quarterback and 128th in sack rate. You know how many teams are in FBS? 128. They're last. So it's going to be a tough one. But I'm excited to see what Malik Murphy does.
They're last? Lord have mustard.
Tough
All right, let's go Tennessee at Kentucky. The top two rushing teams in the SEC. HG, the Vols have won 35 of the past 38 against Kentucky. Not looking great for them history-wise. What are you looking at in this one?
Yeah, both of these teams love to run the football, and they do it at a very, very high level. Now, I will say this about Kentucky's defense. They're ranked 13th against the run. But I want to see how this defense is going to fare up against the two-headed monster in the backfield for Tennessee. That's Jalen Wright and Jabari Small.
All right, let's go to a Pac-12 matchup. Ohio State at Wisconsin. That one's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Potential letdown spot for Ohio State. Headed to Madison. It's a night game. Lyles, is there any danger here for the Buckeyes?
No. Look, Luke Fickell, give him another year or two, and I do think Wisconsin, he's going to get them to places that they haven't been before. But that's not happening for them this year. I think Ohio State wins this game strictly off their defense. I still think they have offensive things to work out. But when you have Marvin Harrison Jr., you can win any football game you're in. But again, defensively, we mentioned it earlier, this Ohio State team is a lot better. They've only allowed 70 points through the first 7 games. That's their 4th fewest in the last 25 years. Ohio State is going to handle this one.
All right, let's go to a Pac-12 after dark matchup. Oregon State at Arizona. That one's at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Arizona has been tough out. Took both Washington and USC to the wire. Beat 19 Washington State 44-6 last week. HG, what are you looking at in this matchup?
Yeah, if you're Oregon State, don't let Arizona ruin your season. They have been a tough out for Arizona State's. For Oregon State's defense. Make sure you stop the run of Arizona. The last 4 games, they've averaged 158 yards per game. Get this win. Move on to next week.
All right, a good Saturday slate that we're all looking forward to. It should be great. Sit down on your couch, get comfy. All right, folks, there are 6 undefeated teams that are in the top 10. We're going to talk about what can take them to the top of the mountain. That is the CFP championship. Starting with one, Georgia. Now, we haven't talked that much about Georgia this season. I feel like they've been number 1, and, you know, the defense doesn't look like it has in the past, so we haven't really discussed them that much, but they are the number 1 team in the country. They don't have Brock Bowers. They have the 7th toughest remaining strength of schedule. So, Harry Lyles, what can they do to make it to the top of the mountain?
So, look, we're going to really find out how creative this team can get, right? I think at certain points you expect, even for as lackluster sometimes as the defense has looked, or maybe not even lackluster, they've left more to be desired, right? How about that?
Yep.
The offense, though, you still have a lot of highly recruited players on that side of the football. You have to get a little bit more creative with it. I think you're probably going to see them trying to run the football a little bit more. Hopefully that opens up the pass game. Makes it a little bit easier, right, for Carson Beck. But the 2 ones that worry me on there, Missouri and Ole Miss, because those are the 2 teams that will make you score. And if they have to do that 2 weeks, I don't know. It's going to be tough, but I'm not picking against the champs. They're going to get to the top.
Look at its little arms. I can't get over the little arms.
Yeah, they don't need bigger muscles than that.
Depending, we don't know how big, you know, this isn't to size. You know, their arms might be actually kind of big. This might be a big boy. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, actually.
Okay, let's go to a team that we talked about a lot this season and the preseason, specifically because of the scandals that they had. Obviously, the sign scandal isn't going anywhere. They have the 2nd hardest remaining strength of schedule, a bye week this week, but they're at number 10, Penn State, in week 11. Okay, so what do you think about them? What do they have to do to get to the top of the mountain?
I say number 1, the quarterback position, J.J. McCarthy, continue to play at a high level like he is right now. When you look at the Heisman Trophy race, he is at the top of the spectrum for a reason. He had a throw last week versus Michigan State. Down the middle of the field, NFL throw, anticipation. But I think when you look at the Michigan Wolverines and you look at the Big Ten, we've seen Ohio State twice in person. We've seen Penn Oregon State.
Right.
I can honestly, in a confident way, say that I am not worried about Michigan in the Big Ten after watching those two teams play.
Yeah.
I also think Michigan might be one of the most balanced teams in college football.
Yeah.
When you look at their defense, one of the tops in the country, you look at their offense, they can pass the football, they can run the football. The only thing that they have right now that's negative, in my opinion, is the sign-stealing scandal.
Right, yeah.
But I think they're going to be able to reach the top.
Yeah,
honestly.
TBD on how that plays out. Now, one thing about this Michigan team and the Big Ten in general is they have to beat one another. They can't all finish undefeated. Ohio State has some injury concerns with Trey Henderson and Ibuka. 10th hardest remaining strength of schedule. So when you look at this team, this Ohio State team, Harry Lyles, what do they have to do to make it to the top?
Hey, you got to knock off Michigan. And the way that you just laid out what they've got going on, even that sign-stealing scandal, man, I think that's going to motivate Michigan to just show people like, hey, like, we don't need that. We got two of the best running backs in the country.
I agree.
We got one of the best defenses in the country. J.J. McCarthy has taken the step that everybody thought that he was going to take. So really, this Ohio State team offensively, they've obviously got all the pieces. They have the best playmaker in the country, Marvin Harrison Jr. Their defense has actually been playing a lot better. Like, you know, everybody's been name-dropping Jim Knowles for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Like, that defense actually means something now.
Yeah.
Right? And so, look, they're going to run the table. They're going to get to that game in Ann Arbor, and then I think that's where the fun stops.
All right, so they will not be making it to the CFP, according to Harry Lyles. This is the first one that we saw, so I didn't know how this was going to look. Okay, let's go on to a Pac-12 team. Obviously, the Pac-12, we're here for a Pac-12 game. Very strong this season. They looked good, Washington did, against Oregon, but of course they struggled against the two Arizona schools. They have the 17th toughest remaining strength of schedule. HD, what do they have to do to make it to the top?
I think the quarterback position, again, when I look at Michael Penix Jr., we all seen him live. He is lethal, his accuracy, the way he's able to complete the deep ball. But you can't just look at Michael Penix Jr. It's his skill position players that he has around him. He has 3 phenomenal receivers when all those guys are healthy that he can diversify the football to. So I think Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies, they're going to figure out a way to get it done. I actually think they're going to win the Pac-12 this year, so they're probably going to be on their way.
Okay, let's talk about 2 other teams that are undefeated, but they don't really have that strong of a remaining schedule. That is Florida State and Oklahoma. So what do you think that these 2 teams have to make it to the top? They're obviously running their conferences, but what do they have to do to make it to the top?
Well, I'll start with Florida State. I think Florida State right now, they're their worst enemy. I think they look at themselves collectively, and if they don't have a letdown, they're going to be there. When I look at Oklahoma has to worry about Andrell Anthony. That was their big play guy down the field. He tore his ACL actually against Texas. That's a negative for them. Also, they have Texas that they're probably going to meet in the Big 12 championship game. And I can honestly say, if Texas wouldn't have had these self-inflicted wounds and the turnovers against Oklahoma the first time around, they could have won that game. They were still right there in it. It took Oklahoma and Dylan Gabriel driving down the football field to win that game. So I see Florida State making it.
Okay.
I honestly don't see Oklahoma making it because I think Texas is going to avenge their loss that they had during the regular season.
So you don't think that you can get 2 Big 12 teams in the CFP this season?
Hell no.
Okay, so that is the CFP. That's one race that we're looking at. Another race that we're looking at, the Heisman race, which is coming down to the wire. All right, let's take a look at some Heisman moments over the season. Starting in 2020, similar to this season, 2020's Heisman race was highly contested, but that all ended when DeVonta Smith exploded against LSU. 8 receptions for 231 yards, 3 touchdowns that pushed him into a lead he never relinquished as he became Alabama's 3rd Heisman winner. Now, 2021, Bryce Young had several Heisman moments, but the one that stands out is when he saved Alabama's playoff hopes with a 12-play, 97-yard touchdown drive in the Iron Bowl, capped off with a jump pass to Ja'Cory Brooks to send the game to overtime with 24 seconds left. That one, very good. In 2022, there was another good one, another player with several Heisman moments. The one that might stand out for most for Caleb Williams is his late season game against Notre Dame. The USC quarterback was 18 of 22 passing, 232 yards, a touchdown, 35 rushing yards, including one hell of a third quarter scramble and 3 touchdowns. All right, so let's look at the Heisman odds this season. We got J.J. McCarthy leading the pack with Michael Penix Jr., Jayden Daniels, Jordan Travis, Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel, all there too. Caleb Williams dropped to plus 6,000. Not looking too great. Not looking too great for him. Nope. Not too many weeks to make that up. We welcome in the very lovely Sanford Steve. I got to spend a lot of time with Sanford Steve yesterday.
Yeah, that was fun.
He was actually at the haunted house with us in the back the whole time, just wanting to leave. But you had a good time, right?
I was just asking where the exit was. That's all.
The whole time he was asking where Paige, the person who drove us there,
was driving us home.
Yeah, and was driving us home. He just wanted to find Paige, and then he ended up leaving before we were done with the haunted house. But it was fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're here now.
Okay, sure. Anyways, okay, let's talk a little bit about these Heisman odds and who we think will win the Heisman. When you look at the race overall, what do you think is going to happen as the season winds down?
Well, I think it all goes to that video we just saw. What were all those moments from? What month? Yep. November. Mm-hmm. November. It's out there for the taking. So, I was just looking at odds from 2 weeks ago. J.J. McCarthy was 18-1. Mm-hmm. Now he's the favorite. It's just it's a recency bias. Caleb was the name because he won it last year. Yep. But all year we knew SC's schedule didn't start till they went to Notre Dame, and now they lost those first 2 games. So it's up for grabs for sure. But the odds at the top, with the value, there's no sense of point in betting the favorite right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And everybody always feels like there's somebody that's not getting enough recognition.
Yep.
Who's that for you?
Well, I look at the schedule, right? November, Georgia. Georgia's got a big one against Florida. They got Missouri. They got Ole Miss. They got a trip to Tennessee. Carson Beck, no Brock Bowers in his way now. He's 35-1. If you're looking for value, November, it's proven this is the month to do it, and now you got a chance with him. So 35-1 with the quarterback on the #1 team with a big month ahead of him. He's got the most upside by far. I thought he's been really impressive. That tough road game at Auburn. People could say what they want about Auburn. That's a tough place to go play. And then you're down in the second half. They won because he put the ball in Brock Bowers' hands. He was the main guy. So I expect a big month from him if they're going to go run the table here.
So I got to ask you about Caleb Williams because he is now a plus 6,000.
Yeah.
Dropped tremendously. Do you think it's warranted?
I do think it's warranted just because of he made the standard. That the way we look at him, because he was so good last year, and it just kept building and building and building, and then at the end it tailed off with a loss to Utah and then a loss to Tulane. But it's hard to say it, but it's the reality. It's the guys on the best teams. That's what it's come down to. So what is it? Last one was Tebow, and RG3 with 3 losses on a team.
Yeah.
I don't see that this year with so many top guys on the top-ranked teams.
I got to ask you about one guy. Jayden Daniels at LSU. They have Alabama. If they have an opportunity to play for the SEC championship against Georgia, and he has a phenomenal outing, can you see Jayden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy?
See, I differ with the odds. I think he's the front runner right now.
Okay.
I think he's the best player in the sport. Yeah. But again, he has 2 losses. Now you talked about the stage that he's going to be on, possibly an SEC championship if they were to beat Bama and then do it against Georgia. Now you're talking about a guy that has done it against teams that nobody else could do it.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody has their own stage. It's just to the playoff. Everybody has a path right now.
Right.
Even the 1-loss teams, and it's just a matter of whether you take advantage of it or not.
Yeah, you mentioned it. All eyes on November as the Heisman race gets tighter and tighter. Steve, it was great hanging out with you today and yesterday.
Always great.
All right, fighting the elements out there.
Yeah, don't freeze. Don't you have to have? I don't have anything on my head, so I guess we're just 2 baldies out here, just bare bald. Okay, so now to look at the Fansville Advantage presented by Dr. Pepper. It's when we look ahead to next week to see who has the advantage when it comes to a home game. We're going to look to an SEC matchup. LSU headed to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. A big moment for Jayden Daniels at LSU, as we were just talking about. HC, we saw the crowd in person for that Texas matchup. Yes. What kind of advantage do you think that they have at Alabama?
A huge advantage. We know from watching this game last year what it meant for LSU being at home, right? At the real Death Valley, Christine, not Clemson, LSU.
Anyways.
Right? So I think going into this game this year and it being at Alabama, if it's one thing I think the fans could, learn from the Texas game, it's that they need to be louder. They need to be more rowdier, right, to the opposing team and make things difficult for them from an offensive standpoint. So I can see this being an advantage for Alabama in this matchup.
Pat McAfee doesn't have a shirt on right now, just FYI, in case anybody was wondering what I'm looking at. That sounded weird. Anyways.
Fansville Advantage.
Lyles, which team are you most impressed with when it comes to LSU and Alabama?
If we're talking about the entirety of the season, I would say Alabama. Obviously, LSU didn't get off to the start.
This is what I was looking at, this FYI.
That they wanted to. That's okay. But I will say, with LSU, as of late, I've been mostly impressed with them. And Stanford Steve just mentioned Jayden Daniels. Statistically speaking, he has been the best player in college football the last 4 weeks. 14 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. Obviously, his completion percentage has gone up this year. To me, I've just been more impressed with LSU as of late because of that young man, because he has been the best player in college football.
All right, that is next week. This week, obviously, a really big one here in Utah. Oregon in town for this matchup, and we'll do some game picks really fast. AC, you start us off. Who do you have in this matchup?
I'm going to go with Oregon. The reason why I'm going with Oregon is, number one, offensively, they're balanced. You talk about passing the football, rushing the football. We know Oregon can score points. That has not been a problem for them this season. Now, they're going against Utah's defense, but I love the balance of that football team. Now, you look on the opposite side defensively, I think they're going to be able to stop Utah. Utah literally had to bring Sione Vaki over from the defensive side of the ball to be an instant spark for their offense. So I don't think Utah's going to be able to keep up from a scoring standpoint against Oregon in their offense.
I'm with HD, man. I got Oregon. You talking about bringing somebody from the other side of the ball, and that's your X factor. That's not to say that that's bad, and players can't do that, obviously. Like we see that with Travis Hunter. But hey, man, that's I mean, you know, slim pickings, right? And I trust what Oregon does too much, both offensively and defensively, for Utah to overcome this. Just because, again, they are so limited with what they have on offense. Because Cam Rising's not the only player that's out. They're also missing running backs and wide receivers and tight ends. Like, this is a hurt Utah offense. I just don't see them overcoming it this afternoon.
Okay, let's take a look at what the fans voted for on this one. Not exactly sure. They got Utah in this one.
Hey, the fans.
Oh, wow.
Y'all need to watch ESPN.
Me and the fans agree.
Well, watch film.
The reason I think that Utah can win this one is because Oregon hasn't won here since 2016. So I'm just going to go with Utah. Look at how beautiful that is, a little balance in this. Do I think that Oregon's offense is a lot better than Utah's? Yes. Do I think that Oregon will possibly win this? Yes. But I'm going with Utah because it's been a minute since they've actually been able to.
What's the Clemson-Miami connection there, Christine? Just let us know.
There's no Clemson-Miami. You know I'm a Bo Nix guy.
Well, here's my thing. I trust Bo Nix at the quarterback position way more than I do Bryce and Barnes.
Of course. I'm a Bo Nix guy.
Like, it's like here and here.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens in that matchup. It's going to be a very good one. There's a lot of really good matchups today on this College Football Saturday. Are you guys going trick-or-treating?
I am. I have 2 kids, Harrison and little Harry Princey, 7 and 4. As soon as I'm done with ESPN Radio, Freddie and Harry, make sure y'all check that out Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern time, baby. I'm going trick-or-treating with my kids.
All right, that's on Tuesday, right? Yeah, Halloween's on Tuesday. Also, Rankings Reaction starting on Tuesday. Don't forget to watch that one. It'll be me, Scooby, and...
Scooby.
Who's on the show with me? I forget who else is on the show. It doesn't matter. Anyway, thank you for watching Countdown to Game Day, presented by Dr. Pepper. We'll see you guys next week.